Okay, goodbye, Google. Oh, yes.
Are you using Firefox or Explorer or Chrome?
It doesn't matter. I use Firefox, but it works equally well in Explorer, Chrome, Safari.
Do you have any impression with Chrome? I haven't used that one yet.
Chrome is interesting. It's a work in progress. Yeah, it's fast though. That's its main benefit. It's really fast. Chrome is Google's browser. Yes.
So speaking of different browsers, does Google have anything if you have a problem with bookmark websites on different browsers?
That is a very good question. We are going to be talking about exactly that. Yes.
Before you leave Google Land, any comments about Google Voice?
Google Voice, I didn't talk about Google Voice because it's not available to everyone. Google Voice is currently in beta testing. It's available by invitation only, like Gmail was a couple years ago or a few years ago. Basically, it's its own phone service. You get a Google number, or you can attach it to an existing number. You can use it all sorts of crazy ways, but the coolest thing I think is that it will transcribe your voicemail for you, which is really, really cool.
Oh, wow.
It's awesome.
Yes,
Yeah,
it's pretty slick. But it's not available to everybody just yet. Coming soon to a Google near you.
There are other providers that will transcribe your voicemail as well. Check out phonetag.com.
I'll be talking about something like that as well. Okay, goodbye Google, on to Doodle. Doodle, super cool. If you ever have to schedule meetings with other people other than yourself, you know that it can be like mind-numbingly crazy-making to try to line up people's calendars. If these are people who don't work with you, let's say you're like me and you're on a board, on an association, and you have to go to board meetings, and maybe you need an in-between board meeting call to talk about things, trying to coordinate with more than 2 or 3 or 8 or 10 or 11 people like I have to is insane. Insane. And usually what happens is you send an email saying, okay everybody, how about Saturday at 2 p.m.? And then someone says, well, I'm free at 3 but not at 2. And then someone says, well, what about Friday? And it's like, I can't take this, it's like 20 emails. So Doodle helps alleviate that by putting everyone's availability on one screen. Really, really nice, major, major time saver. So if people are outside of your domain, you can do team meetings without a shared calendar. So maybe there's someone that you're using as a vendor temporarily and you want to schedule things with them, but it's not worth adding them into your domain to give them a shared calendar. You can also do things like client meetings. You could send clients, here's 3 different times when I'm available. Are you available at these same times? And they can plug it into Doodle. Also, if your VA is doing your scheduling for you, you can give them a list of your availability inside of Doodle and they can match it up on the Doodle chart. Doodle is free. It does have ads, but they're actually pretty minimal. I don't think I've ever actually seen any, although they do offer an ad-free version for 28 bucks. Here's what it looks like. So this is one of my lovely board meetings. I created this, so I said I'm available at these 4 times, different days, different times. When is everyone else available? So these are all the invitees to this meeting. And they said, oh, I'm here, not here, 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 not here. And then looking at this at a glance, looks like everyone's free on this day and time. No emails were sent. There was no coordination of, oh, you know, I can make it, I can't. It was, can you do it or not? Here are the options. Find out where you fit. Super, super handy. Yes?
So did everybody have to be able to log in, they have an account at Doodle?
They don't have to have an account. You send them a web link, they go to this page, and that's it.
And then they just fill it in?
They fill it in. And if something changes for them, they can go back and edit their response later.
Kind of like an Evite concept.
It's like Evite, but I think this is even easier. You barely have to put in any information. All you do is put in your name
Right.
and when you're available.
Yeah, you know.
Yes?
You've used VA. What does that stand for?
Virtual assistant.
Okay.
So basically any meeting that I set up with people who are not working with me directly and don't have access to my calendar, and who I'm not seeing face to face, this is a great tool for setting up large meetings, or even small ones, yes?
So when you select the time where you're available, is it just check boxes?
Mhm.
You go through?
Yeah,
You don't have that screen?
I don't have that screen, but it is really simple.
You can see it at the bottom there. You can add your name and then add selected ones.
Yeah, so if someone else wanted to attend this meeting, they would just add their name and check the boxes when they're able to attend. Pretty cool. And free. Ooh, Salesforce. Okay, how many people here have heard of Salesforce.com? Oh, wow, good. But I would guess that most of you think it's probably for bigger companies, because that's really how they market it. Salesforce is a customer relationship manager, which goes by the acronym CRM. It sounds intense and scary, but basically it's just a database of your clients. If you ever want to keep track of more than just their names and their phone numbers, you'll need something like this, whether it's something more that lives on your desktop like Outlook, or something like Salesforce.com. What's great about this is that it lives online, and it lets you track everything related to your clients. When you last met with them, emails that went back and forth, phone calls you've had with them, what they've bought from you, all sorts of information that can help you serve your clients better and offer them more value, and keep that relationship with them rich and varied. This is a great tool also because it integrates with Google. If you use something like Gmail, you can automatically have your Gmails that go back and forth between you and your clients show up in the client record inside of Salesforce, which is so nice. For me, when I go and I look up a client, I can see my entire communication history with them. I can see all of the appointments I've had with them, all the phone calls I've had with them, conversations that my VA or my other assistants that I work with have had with them, everything in one place, so that I don't have to go and wonder, well, who talked to them and when? What might they be calling about? It's all right there in the client record for me. It's really, really nice. Another thing that it can do is if you are trying to manage a sales cycle, let's say you want to keep in touch with your clients every quarter, you can create reports from Salesforce that answers the question, who haven't I talked to in the last 2 months? When was the last time I talked to this group of people? And it makes it really easy to capture and coordinate that type of data so you can actually act on it. Salesforce is not free. It comes in multiple editions, some of which are quite costly, which are really meant for large organizations. But for people like us, they make, I think it's called what, they change this all the time. Contact Manager Edition, which used to be called Basic, just like 2 months ago. Contact Manager Edition is $5 a month, and that does all the things that I mentioned here. You can access Salesforce.com solely online, or you can have it integrate with Outlook as well. Yes?
Can I just mention one thing? There's a Salesforce.com users group that meets in San Francisco once a month. And I've gone to the meetings. It's quite the...
Yeah. There's Salesforce. It's kind of like Word. It's a enormous, huge, complicated application with many of the features hidden. So it's easy to start up and use, but there's a lot there, a lot of depth there if you want to go further. Yes?
They do have a free version.
They have a free version, but it's limited.
Yeah, I mean, but it helps you at least get your contacts going.
Yeah, it'll get you started.
Mm-hmm.
They've started winnowing down the free version in favor of the more basic paid version. I would say for most of us in here, if you want to do things like really keep track of your stuff in a meaningful way, it's worth the $5 a month. It's well worth it. It does a lot. Yes?
Does this work on the Mac?
It does. All of these tools work on every platform.
Does Salesforce allow you to send out like mass emails to all of your customers at the same
It
time?
does if you pay for the, I believe it's $165 a month version. There's this huge jump between the $5 a month, $15 a month, and $165 a month version. One of the main differences is that it lets you send out what's called a mass mailing, which is what you're describing.
But can't you just export your email list of people that you want to...
You could, yes. You can get creative with how these things work. And sometimes when you're trying to jury-rig a solution together, you have to get a little creative. Yes?
Does that mass mailing work like constant contact in terms of measuring the responses and how people view it?
It's not as full-fledged as a separate email management tool, although if you have one of those tools, they can integrate with Salesforce. So let's say you use a separate email service provider to send out your newsletter. Some of them have features which will hook into Salesforce, which when those emails are sent, they're attached to your client records. So it doesn't really work in the opposite direction. It just works from those companies towards Salesforce, not from Salesforce generating that type of information itself. Yeah.